Let me say this loud and clear. Asterisk, asterisk, you didn't lose her. She lost you. That woman who walked away, who ghosted you, who chose someone else or claimed she needed space. She didn't level up. She downgraded. And you need to burn this into your mind right now because most men are brainwashed into believing that a woman leaving them means they failed. Wrong. You were probably loyal. You were consistent. You gave her your time, your energy, your emotions. You gave her access to a man who is becoming rare in today's world. A man who actually shows up, who doesn't play games, who's trying to build something real. But see, here's the problem. We live in a world where social media, attention, and short-term dopamine hits have completely distorted what women value. Some women trade long-term stability for a weekend thrill. They confuse chaos with excitement. So when a man like you comes along, strong, grounded, emotionally available, they don't even know what they're looking at. They mistake calm for boring, consistency for weakness, masculinity for control. And when they walk away, they think they're exploring better options. What they don't realize is that those options will use them, waste their time, and leave them chasing ghosts. Here's the truth. When a woman loses a good man, she doesn't feel it immediately. It's not like a punch to the chest. It's like a slow burn, a creeping realization. At first, it feels like freedom. Then it becomes regret. Because the world is full of men who want her body but not her soul, who want her time but not her chaos, who'll sweet-talk her, only to vanish the next day. But you were different. You were the man she'll never find again. So stop grieving like you lost something priceless. Stand up, realign, and become even more of what she'll regret letting go. Let's break this down. 1. She wanted chaos, not stability. Here's something that'll sting a bit, but it's the truth. Some women don't actually want peace. They say they want a good man, someone stable, loyal, emotionally mature. But when they finally get him, they don't know what to do with him. Why? Because peace is unfamiliar. Stability feels boring when a woman is addicted to emotional highs. She's used to arguments, drama, mixed signals, and guys who keep her guessing. That emotional roller coaster gives her a false sense of excitement. It's not love, it's adrenaline. So when you show up, grounded, clear, present, she mistakes that for dullness. Not because you're actually dull, but because she's never experienced a man who doesn't stress her out. Here's how this plays out. You plan dates, check in on her, stay consistent, don't play games, and slowly she starts pulling away. She says things like, "I don't know what I want," or "I just need time to figure myself out." But what she's really feeling is withdrawal. She's not getting that chaotic emotional hit she's used to. You're not triggering her insecurity, you're not confusing her, and that calmness, it scares her. There was a guy I knew, solid guy, successful, respectful, led with confidence, dated a woman who always complained about her toxic ex. He gave her everything that man didn't: peace, love, security. After a few months, she dumped him. Not because he failed, but because she wasn't stimulated. 3 months later, she was back with the same toxic guy who used to cheat on her. Why? Because some women confuse chaos with passion. So, no, you didn't lose her. She lost her chance to grow. She lost the man who offered her a new kind of life, one without unnecessary pain and drama. But that takes maturity to appreciate, and not every woman is ready for that. And when she finally realizes that chaos doesn't love her back, she'll remember the man who did. But by then, you should have moved on. 2. Good men are boring until they're gone. This is one of the coldest truths you'll ever face as a man. You won't be appreciated while you're around, especially when you're consistent, reliable, and emotionally grounded. To the wrong woman, that doesn't feel exciting. It feels forgettable. She's been trained by a world that rewards chaos. TikTok trends, red flags, no toxic but fun relationships. It's all programming her to chase men who don't give a damn. So when a man like you enters her life, someone who actually listens, plans, protects, you don't spark anxiety. And in her twisted sense of love, that makes you boring. But guess what? Boring becomes beautiful when the chaos breaks her. When she's crying over a guy who ghosted her. When she's staring at her phone, waiting for a reply that never comes. That's when she remembers your consistency, your calmness, your effort. But here's the thing. Women rarely notice value in the moment. They notice the loss of value. A man I coached once told me how his girl left him because things felt too routine. He didn't argue, didn't chase, didn't beg. He walked. She partied, traveled, posted thirst traps, looked like she was living her best life. 3 months later, she messaged him at 2 a.m. saying, "I miss how safe I felt with you." Too late. That's the pattern. A woman thinks she has time, that you'll wait, that you're always going to be there because you were once so available. But once you're gone, truly gone, she starts to realize the difference between a man who wanted her and the ones who just wanted her body. That's when the memories hit. Not of flowers and gifts, but of how you made her feel secure, of how you stood firm when she was emotional, of how you stayed calm when she created storms. She didn't find boring, she found balance, but she was too immature to see it. And now, she's comparing every guy to you, and none of them measure up. Don't ever regret being solid. Regret wasting it on someone who wasn't ready. 3. Her ego made her blind. Let's get real. She didn't walk away because you weren't enough. She walked away because her ego told her she could do better. This is what happens when a woman gets comfortable. She forgets what she has. She starts overvaluing her position, thinking, "I deserve more," even when she's already got a man who treats her better than most ever will. See, the modern world feeds her ego non-stop. Likes, DMs, constant attention. It tricks her into believing she has unlimited options, that no matter how solid you are, there's always someone better just one swipe away. And instead of focusing on building something real, she starts listening to that voice in her head. You can do better. He's too easy. There must be someone more exciting. And the moment she starts entertaining those thoughts, respect goes out the window. She stops seeing you as the prize. She stops appreciating your effort, not because you did anything wrong, but because her ego convinced her she deserves more without earning more. That's the trap. Women confuse their attention with actual value. Just because 10 guys want to sleep with her doesn't mean 10 men would keep her. But her ego doesn't know the difference. She becomes blind to your value. She overlooks your consistency, your loyalty, your patience. She forgets how rare it is to find a man who doesn't just want her for her looks, but actually invests time and energy into her. And by the time she wakes up and realizes what she lost, it's usually too late. Because ego is loud at first, but silence hits harder. And nothing humbles ego like a man who doesn't come back. That's why you don't chase. That's why you don't explain yourself or try to remind her of who you are. Let her ego talk. Let it lead her right out of your life. Because the moment reality hits her, and it will, she'll remember the man who was actually showing up for her. The man her ego said wasn't enough. The man she now can't reach anymore. And trust me, nothing bruises a woman's ego more than realizing she was the one who fumbled a real one. 4. She thought you'd chase her forever. Let's be honest, a lot of women act the way they do because too many men allow it. She didn't think she'd lose you, she thought you'd wait. That no matter how much she pulled away, disrespected you, gave you breadcrumbs, you'd still be right there, ready to prove yourself. And why wouldn't she think that? Because that's exactly what too many men do. They chase, they beg, they double text. They try harder when they should have walked away. They reward bad behavior with more attention, and that's why women start to believe they're untouchable. You see, when a woman knows you'll chase her no matter what, you stop being a challenge. You stop being respected. You become a backup plan, a fan, a safety net. And once she sees you like that, game over. So yeah, she thought you'd chase her forever. Because you trained her to think that way, and this is your wake-up call, man. You don't get her respect by over-explaining yourself or constantly proving your worth. You get her respect by pulling back the second she stops showing up properly. A high-value man doesn't compete for attention. He doesn't sit around hoping a woman chooses him. He already knows what he brings to the table, and he's not afraid to take it elsewhere. You got to stop worshiping women for simply existing. You've got to stop feeding their egos when they haven't done a thing to earn your energy. Because every time you chase, every time you fold just to keep her, you teach her that she doesn't have to value you, just manipulate you. The second she feels like you're always available, always waiting, always there, she loses interest. And that's when she starts testing you, disrespecting you, even replacing you. Don't let her believe you'll chase forever. Let her find out what happens when a man with self-respect decides to go silent. Because once she realizes you're done chasing, once she sees you finally woken up, that's when the power shifts. Not because you played games, but because you finally started playing by your own rules. 5. She didn't leave a boy. She lost a man. Let's get one thing straight. She didn't leave someone weak or replaceable. She lost a man, a real one. A man who had his flaws, yes. But a man who was solid. The kind of man who shows up, provides stability, leads with calm strength, and doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. But here's the painful truth. She couldn't see the difference. She confused your calmness for softness, your kindness for weakness, your patience for passivity. Women today are so used to games and toxicity that when they finally get a man who's real, they don't know what to do with him. They crave emotional chaos because it gives them highs and lows. It feels like passion. But real men don't create drama. They create peace. And unfortunately, peace feels unfamiliar to someone addicted to dysfunction. So she walked. Maybe she thought the grass was greener. Maybe she thought she was leveling up. But what she really did was lose the kind of man she'll likely never find again. Why? Because men like you are rare. Most guys are pretending. They want to act dominant without discipline. They want to be masculine without maturity. But you had control. You didn't need to prove anything. You had emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and boundaries. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you irreplaceable. She didn't realize it then, but one day she will. One day she'll meet guys who look the part but fold under pressure. Guys who talk tough but can't hold down a real conversation. Guys who can show up for a night but not for life. And when that day comes, she won't just remember you, she'll regret leaving you. Because you weren't a placeholder. You weren't just the guy before the upgrade. You were the upgrade. So stop questioning your worth. Stop blaming yourself. You didn't lose her. She lost you. And now she's out there trying to find pieces of you in people who aren't even built like you. Let her search. Let her learn the hard way. Because the man she left isn't the man she'll ever find again. 6. She wanted control, not connection. Here's something most men miss. A lot of women don't want love. They want control. Not every woman, but the ones who play games, push your buttons, and test your patience. They're not looking for connection. They're looking for control over your emotions. See, when a woman knows she can make you react, get jealous, get angry, get insecure, she feels powerful. That power becomes more important than the actual relationship. She doesn't want to connect deeply. She wants to know she can affect you whenever she wants. That's why she pulls away suddenly, then comes back. That's why she flirts with other guys in front of you, just to see if you'll crack. It's not love, it's control. She wants to see if you'll chase, if you'll break your own boundaries, if you'll tolerate disrespect just to keep her. And the moment you do, she loses respect for you because deep down, even the women who play these games want a man they can't manipulate. Someone who doesn't flinch when they test him. Someone who knows the difference between drama and depth. That's where most men fail. They confuse attention with affection. They think if she's messing with their emotions, it means she cares. No, man. It means she's bored. And the moment she realizes you're addicted to her validation, she's got you. Not as a man, but as a puppet. So here's your wake-up call. You're not here to be controlled. You're here to be respected. When you stop reacting, when you start detaching from the emotional chaos, something powerful happens. She loses her grip. And now the game flips. You become the man she can't control. And suddenly, you're the one she chases. But even then, be smart. Understand that a woman who seeks control more than connection is dangerous to your peace. Don't reward manipulation with attention. Don't mistake emotional games for emotional connection. You're not here to be her toy. You're here to build something real. And if she doesn't want to meet you at that level, let her go play with boys. Because a real man doesn't chase control. He creates clarity. 7. She didn't appreciate the real you. This is the harsh reality. She didn't appreciate the real you. She appreciated the idea of you. Women often get caught up in the idea of what a man represents, rather than who he really is. And that's where you made your mistake. You were too real with her. You showed her the depth of your value, your consistency, your maturity, your emotional strength. But instead of embracing it, she started taking it for granted. You didn't wow her with flashy gestures or big promises. You showed up. You gave her stability. You gave her emotional support. You gave her loyalty. You were the kind of man who doesn't play games and doesn't need to entertain her with drama, but that wasn't exciting to her. You see, a lot of women mistake intensity for depth. They're attracted to the rush of unpredictability, the spark of short-lived excitement, the constant highs and lows. That's what feels like passion to them. But the kind of passion you bring isn't about fireworks. It's about quiet strength. It's about showing up day after day, even when things aren't perfect. And here's the problem. She didn't want that kind of passion. She wanted the chaos, the confusion, the push and pull. She wanted a roller coaster. But guess what? When you give a woman stability, when you give her peace, she doesn't always see it as a gift. She sees it as boring. She doesn't realize how rare it is until she's sitting alone at night, thinking about the one man who actually cared. And that's when it hits. That's when she starts to realize that the man who was always there for her, the man who didn't play games, who didn't need validation, was the one she should have fought for. But by then, it's too late. She didn't appreciate the real you. She got distracted by the illusion of excitement and ignored the foundation you were building. And now, you're the one who's gone. The real you, the stable you, is out of her life, and she's left trying to find someone who can offer her that same depth, and failing. Don't let that be your problem. Don't spend time chasing someone who never saw you for who you really are. The real you is a rare find. And if she didn't appreciate it, her loss. 8. She mistook your patience for weakness. Let's face it, too many women confuse patience with weakness. You didn't rush, you didn't force things. You took your time, played it cool, and showed emotional maturity. And what did she do? She mistook your patience for indecisiveness, for insecurity, for a lack of spine. Patience is often misunderstood. In a world where everything moves fast, where emotions are always on high, people think patience means you're passive. But in reality, patience shows control. It shows that you're not desperate, that you're not running on emotion, but on solid judgment. You were in no rush because you knew your worth. Yet, she saw that patience as a sign you weren't into her enough. She thought, if he really cared, he'd be chasing, he'd be scrambling, he'd be making sure I'm always his priority. And that's where she went wrong. She's used to men running after her. She's used to the drama, the constant texting, the overcomplimenting, the begging. But you were different. You didn't play into that. You were willing to walk away if it didn't feel right, and that made her question if you actually cared. What she failed to realize is that patience is a sign of strength, not weakness. The real test of a man's value isn't how much he chases. It's how much he's willing to walk away when someone isn't giving him the respect he deserves. But that's not easy to grasp for someone who's used to emotional chaos. It's tough for a woman who's been surrounded by nice guys who can't stand to let go. It's tough when the only time a man shows interest is when he's terrified of losing her. And this is where the shift happens, when you walk away and she realizes that your patience was never weakness. It was strength in disguise. So here's the truth. She mistook your patience for weakness because she's never had to deal with a man who knows his own value. And now she's trying to figure out how she let you slip away. Patience isn't weakness. It's power in its most controlled form. And it's the kind of strength she'll never find in another man. 9. She won't find a man like you again. Let's be clear about one thing. She won't find a man like you again. You might not see it now, but that's the cold, hard truth. Women often walk away from something real, thinking they can find someone better, someone more exciting, more dramatic, someone who makes her feel a certain way. But here's the reality check. You are one of a kind. The man who stays grounded, who knows who he is, who doesn't need to play games to get her attention. The man who doesn't need to prove his worth with empty gestures or constant validation. That man is rare. You weren't just some placeholder in her life. You were the man who was always there, always calm, always dependable. You brought a sense of stability she couldn't even recognize until you were gone. And guess what? She'll never find someone who offers that again. She'll meet guys who look the part, who talk the talk, who know all the right things to say. But they won't have the emotional maturity, the emotional intelligence, or the ability to hold their own in a relationship. She'll meet guys who are exciting in the short term, but shallow in the long run. Men who will tell her what she wants to hear, but never show up when she needs them. Men who are great in the moment, but crumble under pressure. And while she's busy chasing those distractions, she's going to realize something. The man she left, the man who didn't need to chase her, was the man who genuinely cared. And that's when the regret sets in. You weren't perfect, but you were real. You didn't play games, you didn't put up with nonsense, and that's exactly why she'll never find another man like you. She'll spend years comparing every guy she meets to the man who didn't beg for her love, who didn't fold under pressure, who didn't fall for her emotional manipulation. She'll realize that the man she thought she could replace was irreplaceable. And by then, you'll be long gone. 10. She will regret letting you go. It's inevitable. She will regret letting you go. Right now, she might think she made the right choice. She might even tell herself that she's better off without you. But deep down, she knows the truth. She's losing the one man who genuinely cared. At first, it may seem like she's moving on just fine. She'll date other guys, maybe even pretend she's happy. But don't buy into that illusion. She's not over you. Here's the thing. Regret doesn't show up immediately. It takes time. But the longer she spends without you, the more she'll realize that what she had with you was special and rare. The stability, the loyalty, the calmness you brought to her life. Over time, she'll look at the men she dates next and notice something crucial. None of them will offer the same emotional depth you did. They'll be shallow, they'll offer excitement, but they'll lack the real connection. And as she spends more time in these new relationships, she'll feel something she didn't expect. Emptiness. She'll miss your steady presence, your ability to handle stress, your patience when things got tough. And every time something goes wrong with the new guy, she'll think about how you would have handled it, how you would have been different. And that's when it hits her. The man she let go was the one who actually cared about her well-being. By then, you'll have moved on. You'll be thriving. You'll be a better version of yourself because you've learned the value of walking away from someone who didn't appreciate you. And when she reaches out, hoping to reconnect, you'll realize that you've outgrown her. You've moved on from the emotional chaos, and she's left with nothing but regret. She'll replay the moments where you were there for her, where you showed up without expecting anything in return, and she'll regret not fighting for you when she had the chance. But by then, it will be too late. She'll regret letting you go, and you'll know you're better off without her. Here's the truth. If she didn't value you, she never truly deserved you. I know it sounds harsh, but it's time to face it. You were never the problem. If she walked away, it wasn't because you weren't good enough. It's because she couldn't see your worth. And guess what? That's on her, not you. She'll spend years searching for someone like you, only to realize she let the one person who could give her everything slip away. But here's the kicker. You should never chase someone who doesn't recognize your value. If she let you go, that's her loss. And you need to move forward, focus on your growth, and never look back. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you been in a situation where someone didn't realize what they had until it was too late? Drop your experiences in the comments below. I'll be reaching out and making a personal connection with those who share their stories. Don't let this be just another video. Let's create a real conversation. And remember, you don't need her, and you never did.